Hello and welcome to the Monroe Method Clancast. I am Jason Monroe. This is episode 194. I have got a client who I have been working with for about 9 or 10 months now, who is going through something at the moment, and she has said something that has just kind of kept the pattern going. I'll be glad when this is over. Now, we've had a number of check-ins because this person has struggled a fair bit. They have little bursts of motivation and then that fades away, and then they have a couple of weeks where things don't go great, and then we go through that cycle again. So what I did was I went back and analysed every single one of their check-ins. Now, this started off at the start of December when they had a break. They went on a little break at the start of December. They struggled to get back on track, in their words. They were very new back then. But they did, and that was fine. Then we got to Christmas and they said, do you know what, I'm not going to worry about my weight. I'm just going to enjoy Christmas, and I'll get back to it in January. Then we got to January and she said, thank God Christmas is over. I can't get back to eating healthy again. Then she had a trip away at the end of January, a city break. Then she had a holiday, and now she's on school holidays because she's a teacher. Now, I think teachers are particularly susceptible to this because they're often counting down until like out of term times. Because I posted recently about teachers on Instagram. I know how grueling it is being a teacher. I have friends who are teachers. The work doesn't, like me, you don't get to clock in and clock out. You are pretty much always on until you actually get that time off, that deserved time off over Easter, winter, summer. But it means that you end up living your life in segments. And this is the problem here with this person, right? They are constantly waiting on things to get by so that they can get back to normal. Now, the problem with this is, if this is how you live your life, you're not really living your life. You are going through periods of surviving. Then you get this little brief window. The overriding problem here is that you have an idea of what life is supposed to look like, right? Now, this is particularly true at this time of year when people are on school summer holidays and things. Everybody talks about, I'm out of routine. I'm out of routine. And then you're going to count down the days until the summer holidays is over and the schools go back and you can get back in routine. And this is a chat that I have with my guys inside the Monroe Method about how you always have a routine. It's just that some routines you want and some routines you don't. Now, something I said to them recently was that, my kids finished up for school, it was a good few weeks ago now, maybe 4 weeks ago. Now, I am not suddenly out of routine because of that. I always have a routine. What happens is, my kids don't go to school. What impact does that have on me personally? This is just, I can only speak for myself here, but what impact does that have on me? Well, number one, I don't have to take them to school, so that's one part of my routine that changes. I have to give them the one meal that they get at school, their lunch, so that part of my routine changes. And I don't have to go collect them from school, so that part of my routine changes. That's it. That's the only thing that changes for me personally, okay? I know that's not the same for everyone, but that's what it's like for me. This idea that there is some big disastrous thing going on, that we are somehow out of routine for 6, 7, 8 weeks, however long your holidays are, wherever you are, it's daft, right? You cannot be out of routine for that length of time. You slip into a different routine. You're not waking up every single day and every single day is chaotic. You're still waking up around the same time. You're still going to bed around the same time. The thing is, you're still eating food every day. The reason that we chalk this all down to a lack of routine is because it's just not what we're used to. You're in a routine, you're just going to bed later. You're in a routine, but because you're going to bed later, you're just getting up later. You're still in a routine, but because you don't maybe have to be as organised with food or have things prepared or whatever, yes, you're not doing that. It doesn't mean you're out of routine. It just means that you're doing things differently. do you know, I'll be 41 in a week's time. In fact, no, you'll be listening to this on Friday. I'll be 41 on Tuesday, the 28th of July. It pains me, and this is something that bothers me. I don't know if it's just because of the time of life that I'm going through. It bothers me that I have wasted so much of my life pressing pause and blaming the external world and blaming circumstances. I think I've benefited massively from being a nutritionist. I've benefited massively from being someone who's worked with thousands of people and seen how thousands of people live their lives and the problems that come up and the things that I've helped them solve, which has in turn helped me solve a lot of my stuff and learn a lot about myself. But it pains me to be 41 years old and have lost, well, losing 10 years to yo-yo dieting was one thing, but, you know, losing so many other things, so much time to just allowing myself to be a victim of circumstances, to allowing myself to be a victim of, oh, well, this is, okay, well, all I need to do is survive this, and then once this is over, then we can get back to normal. How many people do you see? I don't know if this is a thing anymore. I have not used Facebook for many years now. I've got one, I just don't go on it. But I wonder if this is still a thing where people post their Facebook statuses saying, oh my God, OMG, can't wait to get home from this holiday. My body is craving all the healthy food. Is that not the most ridiculous thing? I've posted it, something similar, once upon a time. Imagine going to Spain, a country where a large portion of the UK's fruits and vegetables come from, and saying, I can't wait to get home from this country to eat some fruits and vegetables. Do you not know that they're available there? But it's, again, it just comes back to the whole us thinking that we have to wait until something happens before we can get back to something. It's one of those things that people say to try and make them feel better. Like, oh, I just need to get this get through this last 2 days of the holiday of eating unhealthy, and then once I'm back, I can get back to normal and back to eating all the fruits and vegetables that I didn't eat before I went on holiday. And yeah, this person's actually went through something similar. You know, my body's craving this and I can't wait. When she said, thank God Christmas is over. Imagine going through such a magical time of the year. Imagine having that time off work, and imagine that, you know, your idea of enjoying Christmas has left you sitting on January the 3rd, grateful that it's over. Like, that's not enjoyment at all. Imagine sitting on the final day of your holiday, posting a Facebook status saying, God, I can't wait to get home. My body is craving all the healthy foods. You've enjoyed your holiday so much that you can't wait to get home and start eating different food. Why didn't you just eat different food while you're away so you weren't so excited to get home and you could have properly enjoyed your holiday? So we live in this stop-start world where we think that I think this just all comes down to people being a combination of all or nothing thinkers or perfectionist thinkers. But then it's also reflective of your relationship with food. Like, you know, many of you listening to this know the person that you turn into on holiday. You know exactly what you like to do on holiday, what you think holidays are supposed to be about. I've been there, I've done it. Holiday started usually the night before you even went away. Let's get a takeaway tonight. Let's not cook so we've not got any dishes to do. Let's get the bags packed. Let's get all this done. And let's get a takeaway and start the holiday early. And then you drive to the airport and you go and sit down and pay a ridiculous price for a breakfast in Wetherspoons or a lunch in Burger King. And you pay overinflated prices, but you don't care. Similar to last episode, right? Going to the beach and paying a ridiculous amount of money for a burger and chips. You don't care because it's holiday mode. It's time to have things that I don't normally let myself have the rest of the time. And then you go on holiday and then it's, you know, beer for breakfast, eating and drinking to excess. One of my clients recently came back from a holiday, ate, I think, without checking, but something like 8 pounds heavier than when she went away, which was a big surprise to me because she is more clued up than most people And this is very typical. If you've ever listened to the episode where I spoke about an ex-client of mine who gained 21 pounds on a 3-week holiday, it was actually very similar to that. This person does not drink alcohol at home, which was the thing in the other scenario. So she came home. She was significantly heavier than when she went away. She got back into a calorie deficit. Her weight came down and stabilised, and she had gained, I think it was a 2-week holiday, 7 or 8 pounds. And she basically put it all down to alcohol. She said, I felt great about my eating, but it was those small beers. When you go to an all-inclusive, you don't get served pints of beer. It's those small cups that all the drinks come in. They've just got beer in them. She said they were too easy to drink. They went down very easily. She's a petite person. She does not burn a lot of calories. Combine that with drinking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these small beers a day for 2 weeks, because it's all inclusive and it's all there. Thousands of calories extra going into a body that doesn't need it. Food calories on top of that. And of course you're on holiday, so some meals out, multiple courses, more desserts than you might have at home, more ice creams. It all adds up. So we all have versions of ourselves that we turn into during particular times. But when you are an all or nothing thinker, when you're a perfectionist, when you have a poor relationship with food, you go on holiday and you have that first meal or that first drink, and that's it. Because you're an all or nothing thinker, you can't think in the middle ground. You are either away down at that end or away at that opposite end. You can't live in the middle. You're not someone who can go on holiday and eat until they're full and then stop eating. That's ridiculous. You're on holiday. You're supposed to overeat. I've already started. Well, I've already had a pizza. Might as well keep going. Well, that's me in holiday mode now. It's different. Holidays just amplify your weekday, weekend mentality, right? You're good, quote unquote good, all week. And then it gets to Friday and you try to resist and you try to fight it and you try to willpower your way out of it. But your partner texts you and said, well, we get a Chinese tonight. And you go, yeah, let's do it. And because you have that Chinese on a Friday night, that's it. You might as well keep going. And so you keep eating in whatever your version of eating like that is. And you keep that going all the way through to the weekend, counting down for Monday to come around so you can get back to normal. Thank God the weekend's over. I can get back to eating healthy again. And the wild thing about this is it is all entirely self-created. You are making all of this up in your head. It's all you. It's not written down anywhere. You were never taught that that's how you're supposed to live. It's just the way that you developed your relationship with food, the way that you developed to live, to navigate each week and weekend or each month or each holiday or term times or whatever it is. But what happens is when you go on holiday, a holiday is just your weekday, weekend mentality amplified by a week or a fortnight. It's a 7-day weekend or a 14-day weekend. And you're counting down the days until the holiday's over so you can get back to normal because you just don't know how to live in that middle ground. Or you're going to come home from your holiday and you're going to get back to dieting again. And your idea, the thing that's going on in your head is, well, I better get this all, I better eat all these foods and do all this stuff and get it all out my system now because when I go back home, I'll have to go back to that horrible restrictive thing again. So yeah, we make the mistake of living life in like portions. Yeah, portioned living. Summer holidays are seen as something to survive, to get through, to just make it to the end until the kids go back to school again and then I can get back to normal. Then I can get back to focusing on me. Something I talk a lot with clients about is, why does a child being off... Think about this, right? When I say these things and I break these down to their base level, I want you to think hard about it. Why is there a connection between this, right? When a child is off school, why does your body have to get bigger? Where's the sense in that? This is how I talk to clients a lot. I've stopped talking about gaining weight and losing weight. I've started talking a lot about why is it that when you go on a holiday to a different country, right? A holiday to a different country, to see a different country, to enjoy the weather, to enjoy the sights, why does your body have to be forced to become bigger for you to do that? Why does your son or your daughter being off school mean that your body has to get bigger in size? Like, where's the sense in that? Where's the connection? Why does the World Cup mean that your body has to get bigger? There's no connection between these things. Somebody said to me recently, God, I can't wait till the World Cup's over because my sleeping pattern's terrible and that's having an impact on my eating and all this stuff. Like, we're constantly wishing life to go by faster while simultaneously thinking we're enjoying it. You're staying up and watching the football and having a drink and a takeaway and snacks and stuff because, that's supposed to be enjoyment. But why are you also hoping for it to be over faster? I can't wait till this thing that I seem to think I'm really enjoying is over. It doesn't make any sense. The only connection between our bodies having to increase in size because of something else is us and the way that we think of these things. I used to fall for that trap. I used to go on holiday and come back half a stone heavier because that's what I thought everybody did. We're supposed to queue up in these massive lines in the all-inclusive and overload our plate and stuff ourselves full and go back and get more because we've already paid for it and we have to get our money's worth. And it made sense until it didn't. I can't even remember how I started this now. I ended up going off on a tangent. Oh yeah, I started talking about that client who... Yeah, and I think teachers are particularly susceptible to that, to all or nothing thinking, to living your life in, terms at a time. I just need to get through this term, then I'll have some time off. And then I just need to get through this time off to get back to school and get some routine again. We need to be able to slow down and actually enjoy living life. I think the problem is that when you slip into the habit of thinking that something's going to solve something, so, you spend the summer and your eating's out of control and you think you need work to fix your eating. Like, that's not a positive thing. What happens if you couldn't work again? What happened if you won the lottery and retired? Would your weight just keep going up and up and up? Because when you don't have work, you don't have routine, and your body has to get bigger when you don't have routine. If you went on holiday, what happened? Everybody does this. Everybody walks past the estate agent on holiday and has a look at the houses and said, God, we could sell our house and we could live here. God, no, I couldn't live here. It'd be the size of a house. Something that I spoke about with one of my clients who's planning to move. She's thought about this long and hard, in one of the conversations I had, because I've worked with people who do have homes abroad and they winter abroad or whatever the case is. They go through periods where life's just normal pace, just like being at home. They're doing their bits and pieces. They're enjoying their life there. It's not wild. And then, as you can imagine, the friends come out. You might have friends, think about this, right? You might have friends that you go and visit who have a holiday home or who live abroad. All you have to do is book your flights and you get to stay there. And that's great. But what's happening here? You're on a holiday. That person lives there. That person is now going to get sucked into your holiday mode. So this person, one of my clients who is prepping their home abroad for moving over there, I think next year maybe it's this year, later this year. She's got some friends coming out, and she says, I'm well aware that they're going to come out here in holiday mode, and I'm prepared for that. I know what that's going to be like. I know what that's going to mean. Of course, I'm going to get involved, but it's not going to be anything like it was in the past. So it's a bit of it's two different worlds colliding. You're there living your life because that's just where you live. You live in Spain now. You wake up every day and that's it. Whereas your friends are coming out from England or Scotland or wherever. And for them, it's a 7-day holiday in the sun, and they are going to switch into that holiday version of themselves that they've always switched into. Isn't it interesting that, if you did live there, you couldn't carry on like that? So this is the way I think quite a lot. What would happen if you had to do the thing all the time? Because it's a one-off or a novelty, it's fine that your body has to gain half a stone in exchange for you to have a week in the sun. If you can gain half a stone in a week or 5 pounds in a week, what happened if you had to stay there for a month? For 6 months? What might your weight do then? And it just helps people think about things differently. Rather than talking about losing weight and gaining weight, we talk about it. Why is the end result of whatever it is that's going on in life, whatever it is, why does my body have to get bigger because of that thing. Start thinking about it from that angle. It's a bit more positive than the whole weight loss and weight gaining thing. Right. I'm sure there was something in this that was helpful to someone. Until next time.